Sunday, Tampa Bay. We're with you for another week here on the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show, talking about the Tampa Bay real estate market like we are every Sunday at 10 o'clock right here on WFLA News, like I've been doing for more than a decade to keep you updated on everything going on in the Tampa Bay real estate market. When we aren't on air, make sure to follow us at the Duncan Duo, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, you name it, we're on it. Follow us on socials. We're constantly giving out things and sharing resources and news, talking about things going on in the real estate market. And I've got some breaking news right now. Our client appreciation event, we do it every single year. It is going to be April 12th. So we'll get some invites out for you soon. You've got 2 months. Save the date, April 12th. We do it every year at Mabry Arena. I believe we're doing it from 10 to 1 or 10 to 2, somewhere around that. We'll firm up the details, get a website built, and then get invites out to everybody. But it is an event for us where every year we invite all of our past clients. We invite the community. We invite real estate agents that we've worked with. Our entire team will be there. The Lightning are always there to support us as the official real estate agents for the Lightning for more than a decade. And it's just a fun time. You get to skate on the Mabry Arena ice. We'll have some signed item giveaways. We'll have food catered, T-shirts, hats, lots of cool stuff going on. And again, we'll get the sign up for that built out so that everybody can register and RSVP. And we'll be talking about it regularly here on the show for the next couple months. We hope to see some of our listeners. If you listen to this, if you're hearing this show, you are invited, because that means you have helped my business. Even if you've not used me, just the impression, just the listener on the rankings, and just the impression of you entertaining my show is valuable to me. So we'll get the invites out on that soon. Again, that'll be April 12th, Saturday, April 12th at Mabry Arena. A lot going on in the economy the past couple of weeks. If you haven't been paying attention, and it's pretty much impossible not to pay attention to politics right now, a lot of federal government cuts. A lot of what DOJ is trying to do is to try and streamline the economy, and even President Trump coming out and pushing to try and reduce interest rates. Now, we don't know what kind of impact it's going to have. The Fed has come out and said that interest rates are likely not to come down anytime soon. The president and his economic advisors see things differently and feel with all the cuts that they're making and some of the tax breaks, that it's going to help the economy be prepared or be in a position to be able to take lower rates. Fed hasn't agreed with that. So nonetheless, we're still in a higher interest rate environment. We do expect to see it come down maybe later in the year with hopes that it could happen sooner. But so far, that doesn't appear to be the case. So that is the one thing that's holding back our real estate market is high rates. It's causing some buyers not to buy, and it's causing certainly plenty of sellers to stay in their homes. We talk to sellers every week where we look at their situation, and then we look at what they can buy, and we look at what they can afford with a 6 or 6.5% rate compared to the 3 or 3.5% they may have in their house, and they just decide not to take action. So that is the one thing that is challenging for our market. We are starting to see a little bit more inventory, and a little bit more demand. Our market obviously got hit pretty hard by a couple of storms, which slowed us down considerably, and the year's gotten off to a little bit of a slow start. So it'll be interesting to see as we approach spring, if market demand picks up, if some of the storm damaged homes get cleaned out, and there's some activity from that standpoint. And in the next several months, we're going to continue to see buyers having the leverage. And here's what I mean by buyers having the leverage. It's trending towards a buyer's market in some neighborhoods. We've always believed a seller's market to be less than 6 months, but in reality, the last few years, it's probably trended towards more like 4 months. If it was 4 months or below, people consider that a seller's market. That's kind of become the new norm. We're hovering a little above that now in the overall market, and considerably above that in a lot of our neighborhoods and communities. So the neighborhoods or communities that have more than 6 months of inventory, sometimes those can be condos. There's certainly condo communities out there that have 12, 14, 18 months of inventory. There are neighborhoods that got hit harder with the storms and others that are having problems moving their homes. But the leverage is going to be on the buyer side for the next several months. Um, 1/3 of homes in Tampa Bay have seen price reductions. And I have to tell you, the other 2/3 probably need it. If your home is on the market and it's been on the market for a month and it hasn't gotten offers on it, you probably need to adjust your price. There are a lot of sellers still living in 2022. Okay. It's over. Okay. COVID is gone. 2021, 22, incredible times. Saw record-breaking appreciation, record-breaking home sales. But I like to call it fantasy land. We're not going back to fantasy land anytime soon. So the belief that you can ask in a market where the buyer is gaining the leverage and where we're not seeing prices rise, and in many neighborhoods we're seeing the opposite, that you can ask more than the last home that sold. That's the mentality a lot of sellers have. Oh, real estate appreciates forever. And look, real estate over long periods of time does appreciate. But there are certainly periods of time where it doesn't, and we're in one of those. So if you're a seller and your home hasn't sold and you're pricing it above the last sold comp, you're just not going to sell, okay? The buyers can do the data. The realtors can do the data. Your house isn't going to move. You have to get serious with your price to move real estate today. And the buyers are going to expect, a lower price. They're going to expect concessions and closing costs. And they are going to be tougher in negotiations. They want a discount because they know the marketplace, and they also don't really want to pay the interest rates. So, and for all the clients out there that, we get this a lot. We have clients that'll say, hey, I want to sell my, $450,000 house for $500,000. And when we tell them, look, your $500,000 house is worth $450,000, we'll just find somebody that's rich. Okay. Well, look, rich people are rich for a reason. They're not dumb. They're not overpaying for real estate. They're going to get an appraisal. They're going to look at the value. Find somebody outside of the country to buy it, okay? In case you hadn't figured out, there's not as much of that activity going on today. And just because someone doesn't live in America doesn't mean they're stupid and they're going to overpay for your house. And then last but not least, surely there's a cash buyer out there, since my home can't appraise. Surely there's a cash buyer out there that can buy my $450,000 house for $500,000. The logic sometimes is just baffling to me, because if they have cash, they're not going to overpay. If they have cash, they're going to underpay. In fact, Florida leads the country in all cash purchases, meaning that we have the most number of sales in the country per capita that are selling for cash. Now, so if you're selling real estate or real estate agent, it's likely you've seen cash offers on your properties, and sellers, the reality is, if you want a cash offer for your house, they want a discount. Okay, cash buyers are not paying, the price that you want. Okay, there's an adjustment. They need a sales fee. They need something so that they can either turn around and rent your property or turn around and sell it and make a profit. Okay, so cash buyers are even less likely to pay the price that you want than a financed buyer. So if a property can't appraise, it's never going to close. Which means now, if you're overpriced, you can't have a finance buyer buy it because they can't actually buy it. They can't get an appraisal high enough to buy the house. Cash buyers are the fallback. People would say, oh, well, maybe you can get somebody to overpay. I don't know. The last time I checked, when I go shopping at Walmart and bring a 24 pack of Coke up to the thing, and they tell me it's $8.99 for that 24 pack of Coke. The last time I went there, I didn't tell them, well, I'll just go ahead and pay you $10 for it. It's $8.99. That's the price. That's what it's worth. Okay. That's what they're charging. You're not getting a premium on real estate in Florida today. It just doesn't exist. The only place that real estate is getting a premium above what comps can show is ultra luxury. And so ultra luxury, I'm talking in Tampa Bay, $5+ million, $10+ million. Certainly some of those homes, because of their uniqueness, because of their finishes, because of how exemplary the construction is, and because the clientele they're selling to has an unlimited amount of money, maybe not unlimited, but a very large stockpile of money, they might pay more for that house because of its uniqueness. I have seen that happen, but that's not $500,000. That's not $1 million. That's not even $2 million. I'm talking $5+ million, and in many instances, $10+ million, where someone might pay more than the comps because maybe there isn't a comp and because they have that much money. But home sales in the lower price ranges, it's just not, that just isn't the case. So while we may lead in all cash home purchases, if you look at the list to sell price ratios of those all cash purchases, and we've looked at them, and NAR and the Florida Times, none of the media aggregators tell you this, but we look at it. It's around 80-85% of market value is what those cash offers end up being. In a best case scenario, if your house needs work, it's going to be more like 70% or less. So the people that are buying cash have data, massive amounts of data they pay for. They're going to run the house through algorithms. They're going to look at the condition. They're not going to pay more than market value. They're certainly not going to pay $50,000 more than market value. So sellers, get real with your price. Price aggressive from the start if you want to sell today. If you want to sell today, you've got to price it so that you can create traction and energy and a bidding war early, because you've got to knock buyers off the fence. It's just the reality of a real estate market that's still dealing with stuff post-storm, still has high interest rates. Inventory starts to rise a little bit, and again, you've just got to price very aggressive today to move property. Now, again, are there scenarios? Of course. Of course there's a listener out there right now that's like, well, I did this. And there are people that get lucky. Okay. There are people that just get lucky. But most of the time you end up costing yourself more by overpricing it, sitting on the market, and then having to lower your price. And if you just cut to the price from the beginning and negotiate up versus negotiate down. So again, you're listening to the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show. When we aren't on air, make sure to follow us on all of our socials. If you're thinking about a real estate career, our real estate team is growing. We're looking to add dynamic people to our team that want to do the work. If you want to do the work and reap the rewards, go to jointheduo.com, sign up for our free career night, apply for any of our open jobs, set an appointment on our calendar where we'll have a private confidential consultation with you. And again, you can do that at jointheduo.com. We'll be back continuing this conversation after a quick break here on the Duncan Duo Show. So we're back here on the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show talking about the Tampa Bay real estate market when we aren't on air at the Duncan Duo. When you want a home value estimate, you want a top market value cash offer. We have a buyer that is paying the highest numbers that we've seen. You can get that at duncanduo.com. We will reach out, offer you what they can give. If you want a quick, clean, easy out transaction, again, duncanduo.com. The market's going to crash. You know how many times I hear it? The market's crashing. The market's going to be destroyed. Trump's going to destroy the real estate market because of his tariffs. And look, you see so much nonsense on social media about real estate. And let me explain, why real estate is so much different. Could some of these things cause some negative ramifications in the overall economy? Of course. Could they cause some problems, some short-term problems in the stock market? Of course. When Trump announced the tariffs on some of the countries, the stock market didn't like it. It tumbled a couple percentage points. Guess what? Those 2 days later or less than a day later, it gets resolved and the stock market rose again. The stock market responds, ebbs and flows based on news, based on opinions, and there's a lot of emotional buying and selling that happens in stock. And it happens every day. Real estate doesn't work that way. Real estate values don't jump a bunch in a day. They don't go up 5 or 10 points in a day like a stock might, okay? They grow gradually, slowly, consistently over time. So Florida is leading in equity-rich homes. So Florida leads in equity-rich homes. And let me explain why that matters to the naysayers that say, oh, the real estate market's going to crash. In Q4 2024, Florida had 60.7% equity-rich homes. Miami-Dade had 64.4%. And basically what this means is they were worth more. They were worth at least 50% more than the property's outstanding mortgages. So to put this into perspective, 60% of the homes are worth at least 50% more than the mortgages. So the number of people that are underwater is such a small number. And the number of people that have so much equity because of the rise up in prices. We've not seen prices drop. We've just kind of seen them stabilize a little bit despite record high interest rates, despite storms hitting our market. If our market was going to crash, it would have happened already. And us leading in equity-rich homes, the number of homes in our market that have that amount of equity prevents us from going down that path. There is so much of the inventory that's bought in cash today. And granted, yes, a lot of it's hedge funds and investment groups, and but there's so much equity being held privately with real estate that the likelihood of some massive downturn in the real estate market doesn't exist, because the market, if you look back to when we had the Great Recession, the number of equity-rich homes was negligible. It was very low. People were leveraging. They were putting very little down. There weren't very many cash buyers. There wasn't as much equity. So when the market shifted and there was an equity loss, those people wanted to bail. They wanted out. They're like, oh, I don't want to lose money. I'm just going to bail on this mortgage. I'm not going to pay the difference. Well, now you've got so many homes out there that don't have a mortgage, or they're paid down so much, or that have such low interest rates that even if there are foreclosures here and there won't be enough of them, because the only thing that takes out the residential real estate market is foreclosures. That's it. It is the absolute only thing, in lieu of natural disasters or terror attacks or something. The only economic thing that takes the residential real estate market out is foreclosures. And if you have so many homes that have equity and so many people that have low interest rates, even if those people ran into problems because they put down money, because the lending institutions required more down payments, because they vetted people stronger, because they made sure they could qualify before they gave them a loan, and then reduce the number of people getting bad loans, which brought in a lot of cash. So if you put it into perspective, the number of homes that are equity rich, the number of homes that don't have a mortgage, and the number of people that have such low rates, even if those people, we know the hedge funds aren't going to run into financial problems and run into debt situations. We know the people that are equity rich are not going to run into it. And then you have a massive amount of people that have these low interest rates from a few years ago. The only people really at risk of foreclosure are people that bought a couple of years ago and haven't seen equity gain and have to sell and have high interest rates. Because anyone, even with a low interest rate, if they get hit with trouble, all they have to do is rent out the property and they would cover, because the rent is going to be higher than what their mortgage on a 3 or 4% mortgage is. And then secondly, the other reason why the foreclosure crisis won't come is because banks have figured out forbearance. They don't want to foreclose. So they're simply going to allow people, when they have enough equity, to just miss the mortgage payment and pile it on at the end. The bank wants money. The bank doesn't want the house. So with forbearance, if they can't make their payments for a few months and they're in a great equity position, the bank will allow that to happen and then just add it to the existing mortgage balance and allow people to kind of kick the can down the road until they figure their stuff out. Those people, years ago ended up in foreclosure. They ended up with late fees and penalties and attorneys, and the banks figured out how much that costs, how much they have to pay lawyers, how much equity loss happens, and then how hard it is for them to loan money when properties and neighborhoods are getting foreclosed on and depressing the values. So you're not going to see some massive wave of foreclosures. The government figured it out. They do forbearance now. There's too many equity-rich homes. There's too many people in low interest rates that if they ran into trouble, they could rent the property out to cover their costs. So the naysayers that say the real estate market is crashing, look, maybe it could in some other states, but it's just not happening here. So hopefully that helps you understand the stability of our real estate market, where I expect it to keep showing signs of improvements this year. So when we're back, we're going to continue this conversation after a quick break here on the Duncan Duo Show. So we're back here on the Duncan Duo Show talking about the Tampa Bay real estate market. Andrew Duncan at the Duncan Duo, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, DuncanDuo.com for a free home value estimate or an instant cash offer on your house. And I have an exciting announcement. Team Player of the Year at my company. Now, this is something that we do every year. This year, our Team Player of the Year was Andre Harrell. And Andre, I have known for more than a decade. I used to play basketball with him at the YMCA. I spent years telling him he needed to get into real estate because of how social he was, how competitive he was, and how many people that he knew. And he had a great real estate year, and he is the epitome of what a team player is at my company. Always helping people, always showing up, always filling shifts. In fact, the dude was at my house helping me during storm cleanup because of how bad the storms impacted me personally. So I want to give a shout out to Andre. He won our Team Player of the Year. We do an annual cruise. We take our agents on a cruise, and Andre is going on the cruise with us because of his award. So congrats, Andre. Thank you for all that you do. So what is a due diligence fee? Due diligence fee. I've never heard of this in my life. Okay, like I've sold my company sold $3 billion in real estate, thousands of transactions, and I've never heard of a due diligence fee in my life. So I read this article and I ended up finding it on Reddit, and it was a couple that paid $3,000 in earnest money and mailed $7,000 in due diligence fees to the seller. Well, first off, in Florida, I mean, like I said, I have done. Are there times where a seller may want the escrow to be non-refundable. Of course. Is it common? No, not in residential. So it is, there are people that could call it a due diligence fee, but in this instance, an earnest money and a due diligence fee. So due diligence fee is a non-refundable payment to the seller in return for accepting a buyer's offer and taking the property off the market while inspections are done. That's wild to me. I've never heard of such a thing. So apparently they're used commonly in North Carolina and South Carolina. Texas has a similar concept called option fees. It's meant to show the buyer's dedication to purchasing the property, and a due diligence period is established, allowing the buyer to cancel the deal for any reason within that time frame. Due diligence fees vary, non-refundable, and are only common in certain states and markets. So it is not common here. The only time I think I've heard of this once, and it was on something really, really high end. It was like a, it was a 8-figure property. And I remember something about this happening. So if someone asks you that in Florida, they probably haven't done a lot of Florida real estate transactions, and maybe they're used to real estate in Texas, North Carolina, or South Carolina. However, the seller, in the case of the couple on Reddit, they mailed the due diligence fee directly to the seller, and the cashier's check was stolen out of the mailbox and cashed by a fraudster. So the difference between due diligence and earnest money. So what I can say is the earnest money binds the contract. You have to have, and I'm not a lawyer, but I've hired a lot of them and worked with a lot of them, and you have to have consideration for a contract to be valid. So I'm sure you've seen the times on TV commercials or on movies where someone's going to an attorney for financial advice, and they're like, give me $1. Give me $1. And so he gives the attorney $1, and the reason is because once money exchange hands, that's considered consideration. Now you've hired someone. Well, similarly in real estate, the earnest money deposit is a way for you to show your good faith, and to show that you're serious about the house. In Tampa Bay, the stronger the escrow deposit, the more likely the seller is to believe that your offer is serious, legitimate, and that you're committed to the property, and that you have the financial resources to buy the home. The lower the escrow deposit, the more the seller could have concerns about whether or not you really have enough skin in the game for them to take their home off the market. So that's how we typically see earnest money. It's certainly a consideration for negotiations. It is it's a reason that some sellers may accept or not accept an offer. But a due diligence money are both deposits. They're both deposits made by a buyer in a real estate transaction, but they serve different purposes. The earnest money is a deposit made by the buyer to show their intent to purchase, but it's typically refundable if the buyer backs out of the deal, okay, such as during an inspection or in the appraisal contingency. If the buyer terminates the contract outside of those contingencies, the earnest money can possibly be forfeited to the seller. Due diligence money is a fee paid by the buyer to secure the right to inspect, appraise, and evaluate the property during the due diligence period. It shows the buyer's commitment while allowing them to back out of the deal without any penalty during the due diligence for any reason. The due diligence money is non-refundable, though, regardless of whether the buyer decides to proceed, and is typically not applied to the purchase price or the closing costs. In Texas, however, option fees are usually applied to closing costs. So interestingly, the main difference is that earnest money can be refundable, and the due diligence money and option fees are non-refundable. So what I can say is I'm really glad we don't have due diligence money happening regularly in our market, because I can tell you it would cause so much it would cause so many contractual issues. But so in our market, they're kind of one and the same. We just don't regularly see. It doesn't mean you can't ask for it, but it's just not a common practice for due diligence fees in Tampa Bay. It is the earnest money, and the earnest money can be non-refundable, and certainly it can't. So reasons why someone could get earnest money back. Well, first off, those are all established in the contract. Every single contract, real estate contract, is different. And the majority of buyers and sellers and real estate agents don't read them. So if you want to know whether or not you can get your earnest money back, or whether it's non-refundable in what situations, read your contract. And truthfully, don't trust your realtor to tell you because they probably didn't read it either. Read your contract. Understand it before you sign it. I cannot tell you how many times we deal with complaints from consumers because they simply didn't. Well, I looked on Google. Did you read your contract? Like, you spent all this time on Google, you should pull out the paper that you signed and actually read it. Read your contract, and it will stipulate some common reasons. And again, this varies in every contract. Some common reasons why your escrow deposit may be refundable. The property didn't appraise. If there's a financing contingency, you lost your job and lost your ability to get financing during the period of time the contract allows you. You canceled based on inspection results within the time frame the contract allots you. You canceled because you didn't like the condominium documents and language that may be in some of those documents related to your intended use of the property. Could be reasons. The title. There's clouds on the title. There's issues with getting clear title. You could cancel for that. You could cancel for repairs that were requested but then not yet completed, despite the seller agreeing to them. Also, storms. And there are other contingencies you can put in contracts. There's a contingency about insurance or flood insurance, determining the property doesn't need flood insurance or doesn't need insurance above a certain dollar amount. So those are all reasons. However, they're typically aligned with dates and timelines. So you may have 30 days for your loan commitment period, and if you lose your job on day 32, you missed it. Okay, you're not getting your deposit back unless the seller is gracious and decides to, but you've missed your opportunity. So those timelines in the contract are what will determine whether or not you might actually be able to get an escrow deposit back if you want out of a real estate deal. And it's one of the reasons why sometimes buyers are hesitant to put up escrow, because they understand that there is risk with that money. So the lower they put up because they're afraid of losing it, the less likely the seller is to think they're serious and work with their offer versus declining it or countering it at something else. But the escrow deposit is negotiable. You will see situations where you might offer to buy a house and offer a certain dollar amount, and the seller say, nope, I won't accept your offer. I like it. Maybe I like your price. Maybe I don't, but maybe I like your price. I won't accept your offer unless your escrow deposit is X and your inspection period is Y and your financing period is Z. So there aren't standards, okay? There just aren't. Every single contract has a lot of blanks in it that can be filled out with those timelines, and you can choose, those, and you can negotiate them. But far too many people do not read their real estate contract, and they'll say things like, "Oh, well, we've been trying to get this closed for 3 months, and now I've lost my job." Well, you don't have a right to your escrow anymore. You're past that period of time. So you have to understand that the seller has then been, despite most people being self-interested first and foremost, the seller is as well. And the seller's taken their house off the market. The seller's lost money. The seller's paid a mortgage. And now they've lost the ability to market the home. They're going to want that escrow deposit. So there are certainly times when the buyers lose their escrow, and there are times when the sellers are reasonable, and maybe there's a negotiation that can ensue. But in order to get your escrow deposit back, you've got to have a rational reason that the contract allows you to have. So again, read your contract. That's the best advice I can give you. If you're thinking about jumping into real estate right now, I want to tell you, you're going to hear a lot of naysayers out there saying that the market's this, the market's that. I know so many agents that have gone and gotten jobs. I see it on Facebook every day. People that were doing good production a few years ago, now they've gone out and they're working somewhere else. And I know the real estate market's challenging, but I got into the business and have built an incredible business after getting into the business during one of the worst periods of time for real estate in our country. So I know firsthand that if the person with the right mentality and the right work ethic plugs into the right operation and the right team, that they can be massively successful. It's really not up to the market if someone's willing to do the work. And there are a lot of real estate agents out there that got used to not having to do the work. So people out there that want to get in and do the work, if you're a savage, you will absolutely crush so many of the agents that got in during the heyday that don't have the right work ethic, that aren't hungry, that don't work hard. So if that is you, if you're a hard worker, we would love to have you. Join theduo.com, apply for any of our open positions, register for our career night, set an appointment with our team. We'd love the opportunity to talk to you about options within our team, but we are looking for the people that want to work hard, that want to grind, that don't want money to rain from the ceiling, that know they got to work for it. If they're willing to do that, we've got a place for them. So again, you can do that at jointheduo.com. We'll be back. We're going to wrap up with our last segment, talking more about the Tampa Bay real estate market here on the Duncan Duo Show after a quick break. So we're back here on the Duncan Duo Show talking about the Tampa Bay real estate market. I want to talk a little bit about new construction. It is probably one of the best places right now to buy real estate in Tampa Bay. You hear a lot of rumblings about insurance costs and taxes, property taxes, and new construction is one of the places that is safest for that. You're going to pay lower property taxes because, especially in a lot of new construction, the first year is priced at land value. You're going to pay lower insurance because it's built to higher standards, higher wind standards. It doesn't have deferred maintenance that could turn into claims. And in addition to that, the builders today are offering incredible incentives to buy rates down and to get you a lower payment for the next few years until rates start to drop, so you can afford the payment. Those are things builders at scale can do. We've just partnered with a new builder. For us, not a new builder in the market, but new builder for us, Mabry Homes. We just listed 10 properties for them all over Tampa Bay. We've got them from Brooksville to Parrish, Zephyr Hills, Plant City, Auburndale, all basically out in the suburbs. New construction between $300,000 and $500,000. If you're looking for new construction, we've got some great opportunities. There's so many builders out there competing today that it is delivering a great product for Tampa Bay home buyers when they look at new construction as an option. You just message us, go to 813-359-8990. And here's the key. Here's what our builder partner, Mabry Homes, is offering, which I think is an incredible deal. 4.99% interest. Now, look, the rates right now are well into the sixes. They're giving a $5,000 closing cost credit and buying your rate down to 4.99%. Just again, to get that rate at that number, you would have to come out of pocket so much that they at scale can comfortably get those rates down and sell you a home that you can afford. That is a lot harder to do on a retail sale where the seller doesn't want to pay those things. The seller wants more net. Builders look at a bigger piece than just one house at a time. They're looking across a large swath of homes that they want to move, and they're able to use that leverage and scale to pass savings along to you to find scenarios and structures that make more sense for you to buy. So I have a team of specialists that focus on helping clients buy new construction homes. Obviously, we're working with Meritage in those communities. We've worked with other builders like Lennar and D.R. Horton in different neighborhoods throughout Tampa Bay. So if you're looking for a new construction home, the key is understanding that the person at the new construction office does not work for you, okay? They work for the builder. And the builders don't change prices whether you have an agent or not. They don't change prices because if they do, that lowers their comps and that lowers your ability to sell their next home and get an appraisal if they lower the price because there isn't a buyer agent. So this belief that you can go in without a real estate agent and negotiate a better deal is flawed. It's wrong. They sell too much real estate. They care too much about the realtor community. They want to partner with great agents. And the reality is that agents that have that experience across a lot of different communities know the pros and the cons. They know the benefits that are out there. They know how much one builder can negotiate. So you definitely need a realtor on your side. If you're thinking about buying new construction, we'd love the opportunity to represent you. We can register you at communities that you can go out and tour on your own. But ultimately, you've got to contact us so that we can help you do that. We'll certainly show you our offerings with Meritage Homes. Some of the new construction properties that we have. New construction single-family homes for $300,000 with a reasonable commute to downtown Tampa is pretty remarkable. So if that's something you're looking for, just hit us up at 813-359-8990. You can call or text. You can go to theduncanduo.com, start searching for new construction, and our team will reach out and talk to you about the next steps of looking for your next new construction home. But it's definitely something we have specialists doing that are helping clients every day buy new construction. So one last thing that I want to talk about, we're almost to the spring market. You have a lot of our clients, we've always told through the years that Florida doesn't have as much seasonality. And we don't have as much, but we have some. If you're a home buyer that's out there, or a home seller that's out there, you don't want to keep waiting any longer. You want to get ahead of the spring market. You don't want to wait until everyone else is deciding to buy or sell, because then you're just one of many. Right now is a great opportunity for people to get their home ready for the market, to get it listed, and then for buyers to kind of beat that spring and summer rush where we usually see prices rise. If you look historically in Tampa Bay, the months where we have the most appreciation is over the summer. So buying now, definitely the better option. And sellers, please get out of thinking like you're in a vacuum. Every day I hear clients say, well, I need to wait for my $450,000 house to get to $500,000 so I can buy my $800,000. That's assuming your $800,000 is just not going to move in price. It's going to be the same. If you're waiting for the $450,000 to go to $500,000, that's a 11% gain in price, almost a 12% gain in price. That home's going to go up, but the one at $800,000 isn't. Your flawed logic in thinking that you need to wait for your property to rise, you're losing money because the property you're moving into is a higher priced home. It's going to add more value at that same appreciation rate. So please, sellers, think about your next step, not just the step that you're in. Look forward a little bit, look ahead a little bit, and understand that you're not in a vacuum, that if you wait for your home to rise, what you're going to buy is going to rise too. So that's my advice for today. If you need that cash offer, if you need to sell your home fast, if you need your home value estimate, just hit up DuncanDuo.com and have an awesome rest of your Sunday, Tampa Bay.